Okay, picking up where we left off, we have 141 divided by 3. We exchanged our hundreds for groups of 10. And so now I'm just lining them up by groups of 3 here to see how many what we can do here to make a rectangle. All right. Okay, so I don't have enough to share equally among 3 again. So what we need to do, maybe we should go this route. Yeah. Sometimes it's like a puzzle, putting all of our different pieces together here. So what I need to do then is exchange these tens for units. So I'm going to take these away and bring out 20 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and I'm going to move my screen over so we can see more. So we're at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And don't forget we had that unit from 141, so 21. So notice I've got 3 different groups here, and each group has 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 141 divided by 3 is 47. Take a moment to pause the video and see if you can't make 852 and divide it by 4 using an array. You should have been able to create 4 groups of 213, and each group would have 2 hundreds, 110, and 3 units. If we know the deer at the zoo drank all the water in their enclosure in one day. If we know that one deer drinks 6 quarts of water a day and the tank holds 390 quarts, how many deer are in the enclosure? Use partial quotients to solve. So I'm going to set this up just like a regular division, long division, but I'm going to do it a little differently than we're used to. So I'm going to think, how many tens can I make with 6 times how many tens gives me the biggest number I can have? Well, 6 times 60 would give me 360. If I did 6 times 70, I would end up with 420, so too many. So 6 times 60 gives me 360. When I take 390 and subtract 360, I'm left with 30. I know that 6 times 5 is 30, so 30 minus 30 gives me 0. Well, then how do I know how many times 6 can go into 390? Well, I take the pieces that I multiplied 6 by, 60 and 5, and I add them together to get 65. A woodpecker is being studied. They recorded the woodpecker for 8 seconds and heard 152 times that it pecked. Assume it pecked the same number of times each second. How many times per second did the woodpecker peck? Solve using partial quotients. So I set this up using long division. And I asked myself, 8 times how many 10s will get me as close as possible to 152? Well, 8 times 10 itself. If I did 8 times 20, I would get 160. That would be too many. So 8 times 10 is 80. When I subtract 80, I get 72. I also know that 8 times 9 is 72. So when I subtract, I have 0 remainder. So to figure out how many times that it can go in, I add the 10 plus the 9 and I get 19. 370 students signed up this year to participate in a job. The zoo creates the same number of students for each of the 4 days. Will each student have a job? If not, how many will not have a job? Let's use partial quotients. So I'm going to take 4 times 10, which is 40. I can keep going. 4 times 20, 4 times 30, and here I see that 4 times 90 would give me 360, the closest that we can reach to 370. When I subtract, I get 10. I know that 4 times 2 gives me 8, so when I subtract 8, I have a remainder of 2. Our solution then would be 90 and 2, so 92. However, I have that remaining of 2. So the remainder can mean many things depending upon the context of the problem. Here the remainder indicates that there will be 2 students who will not have a job. Let's change the context of the same division problem. There are 300 students coming on a canoeing trip. Each canoe holds 4 people. How many canoes will be needed for everyone to participate? So when I look at this, I have the same division. That part didn't change, except the 2 represents how many people will not be able to fit into the canoe. So therefore, there's 2 students left out without a canoe, which means that we would need 93 canoes so that all students could participate. Now we know that each canoe wouldn't have an equal number of students, but at least everybody would be able to participate. Changing the context again of the same problem. Zookeepers are visiting 4 of the local schools today. While they're going to hand out free balloons. They have 370 balloons and want to give the same amount to each school. How many will they hand out at each school? Well, they only can hand out 92 balloons to each school. Yes, there'd be 2 balloons left over. However, that's not enough to give another round of balloons to each school, since there'd be 2 schools that would not have the same amount as the others. Print the 4th grade practice set provided in the practice Dropbox. Complete the set of problems, scan and upload your document back into the practice Dropbox. Make sure you are very thorough with your explanations, drawings, and diagrams so that I can fully understand your thinking process. Next week we'll finish up with the 4th grade with measurement and data and geometry.